So California has made a critical mistake. However, it's not just California. Many other states are following right behind California, and this is troubling for multiple reasons. Today I want to explain what's going on, how the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is now proposing spending cuts and cutting out some very important programs in order to pretty much get his budget back on track. So I want to break down what's going on there and why many other states are going to follow right behind California, and we're going to see some massive cuts very soon. So make sure you stick around and watch this entire video. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So yes, it is true. The governor of California is now proposing spending cuts in order to fix their budget. Over the past handful of years, California has seen a surplus. They've had more money than they knew what to do with. And guess what they did? They spent it. They put a little bit in their reserves, but just like every other state, they spent it on their residents. They gave them some universal basic income. They gave them, free health insurance. They provided more shelters. There's so many things they did. But we got to break down what's going on now, because the Governor Gavin Newsom, he proposes painful cuts to close California's growing budget deficit. The concern is that the stuff that they are going to cut is stuff that Governor Gavin Newsom originally promised. But let's look at some of this. It says, Governor Gavin Newsom on Friday, he proposed painful spending cuts impacting immigrants, kindergartners, and low-income parents seeking childcare. This is a massive problem because for the longest time, California has been the state that if you are an immigrant coming to the United States and you want good weather, you want a decent paying job, even though whether you can work legally or not, right, you want that. And then on top of that, now you want insurance and stuff for your migrant family. Guess what? California was the state to go. That's where everybody went. That's exactly what was happening. Now that we are going to see spending cuts, potentially with California and other states here on the West Coast, well, people will start moving back to the Midwest or back to the East Coast. Just wait. Let's read some of this. It says officially, Newsom said that the state's deficit is $27.6 billion. Not bad. But really, it's close to $45 billion when including previous spending reductions. So he says, no, it's only $27.6 billion, when in reality, it's about $20 billion or $18 billion more than that. Now, that's a decent chunk of change. Let's keep reading this. Okay? It says down here, so far, Newsom has not gutted some of his splashiest policy advancements, including free kindergarten for all 4-year-olds and free health insurance for low-income adults regardless of their immigration status. It says, but as Friday's proposal showed, Newsom is willing to chip away at some of those promises to balance the budget. This is the issue that we're going to face here in the U.S., is that many states have made promises that they initially could keep. The problem, though, they are not going to be able to continue this. There has to be a stop. And that's exactly what California believes as well, that they have to stop and prevent some of their original promises to go through, because if they don't, here's the issue, they are going to have no money. Let's keep reading this though. It says, while Newsom has not taken away health insurance from anyone, he proposed the state stop paying for healthcare workers to care for some 14,000 disabled immigrants in their home. They would save the state $94.7 million. And then it goes on to say, while he hasn't pulled back the state's commitment to expanded kindergarten, he proposed eliminating $550 million that would have helped school districts build the facilities they need to teach all those extra students. Yeah. They cannot build the facilities that they need for the incoming students. They're not going to have that money. So guess what? We're going to have packed classrooms. Or people just won't go to school. That's what we're going to get. Let's keep reading it. It says, after promising to pay for childcare for another 146,000 children from low-income families, Newsom on Friday proposed pausing that expansion at just 119,000. That means we're going to see, 27,000 people not get it? Okay. It says, and after promising to boost how much money doctors get to treat Medicaid patients, Newsom on Friday proposed canceling the $6.7 billion that had been set aside to do that. It's interesting. And I've talked about this before, and I said this was going to happen, where states are going to do whatever they can to spend the money that they originally got from the pandemic. They are going to overspend, but here's the issue. Instead of doing a one-year program, for example, universal basic income or different health insurance or stuff for children or low-income families, instead of doing something for 1 year and trying to figure out how to introduce it into the budget, they made it almost a permanent thing, or for multiple years, when they knew they only had enough money for 1 year, just the first year, the trial period. Many states are doing this exact same thing. Now they have to go back and look to see how can they fix their budgets. Okay, we've seen it all over. New York is doing it. New York is having a very difficult time trying to do it. Even Denver, for example. Denver's police, their public safety, elections department, among those told to cut budgets in order to fund the migrant crisis. And it's not just because of illegal immigrants either. Even migrants that are here legally. The issue is there's too many coming in because the Biden administration has changed their policy a little bit. And by changing it and changing the verbiage, it allows more people to enter into the U.S. But while more people enter, this means the supplies, all the services that we currently have, it's just not enough. So, I don't know what we're going to see moving forward, but all I can tell you right now is that there has to be a change, or else everyone's going to lose everything that they have. I want to read you one last thing. It says, in total, Governor Gavin Newsom is proposing $32.8 billion in cuts over 2 years, including eliminating 10,000 unfilled state jobs and an 8% cut to state operations. It says, including things like eliminating landlines. He promised there would be no layoffs, furloughs, or salary cuts for the state's more than 221,000 state workers. So, Governor Gavin Newsom says, you know what? We are not going to have any layoffs. We won't see any furloughs, and there will be no salary cuts to our state workers. The cuts will have to happen to the state programs, not the worker salaries. So we'll see what happens. But all I can tell you right now is other states are looking at what California is doing right now, and they're going to determine, can they keep some of their programs open and running, or should they shut them all down? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. So just because you don't live in California does not mean this does not impact you. I guarantee every single state is now looking at California, looking at New York, and trying to determine, can they keep up with what they did over the past few years, or should they shut it all down? So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you right now, I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.